Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Knox Makers. It's Tuesday night tonight, and that means only one thing, show and share. We've got a large slate of people who have brought nifty stuff to show us, and I am jazzed to have a look at it. But before we do that, I just want to send a shout out to everybody who brought us food and drink tonight to share. It was totally delicious. I enjoyed it very much, especially thanks to our diligent grillers who were out there in the medium lousy weather making food for us. So thank you very much for that. Beginning tonight's Cavalcade of Wonder is Tracy, who has brought Hack Rack Advent to share.
Mid-November, I saw this on the Hack Rack. It's just a simple box with 25 little boxes in it, and there's 25 days till Christmas, and I am a sucker for an advent calendar. So I immediately snatched it up and took it home to decide what to do with it. So the first thing I did was stain the whole thing blue, because that is what I had in my house. And then I was going to paint little pictures on the front of it, and then I decided that was too much work. So I laser cut numbers and then hand painted the numbers in, which was very relaxing, because you couldn't really do anything but stare very closely at the numbers. And then when you take the little square out and then you eat the candy inside and then you turn it around and there's a picture on the other side. So as the month goes along, you get more of the picture filled in. So now it looks like this. So, what's it going to be?
A box.
You'll have to find out. Yes, so that was fun to paint as well. I actually painted that part first, but now it's almost filled in because it's almost Christmas. And that's my project.
That is charming and festive, and I can only imagine the tiny drawers are full of Cheetos. Next up, we've got Bill. I've not been told otherwise. It's full of Cheetos. Next up is Bill, who has Christmas ornaments.
Many of you are aware that I like to do wood carving, and so all of these are carved individually, paint by number style, and then an antique finish put over the top of them. And so I have clothespins, we have flat ones, we have round ones, it just, Santa Claus, snowmen, but it's just really being the time of year that it is, this seems to be appropriate. And then this afternoon, this is pre-paint. So,
What is it?
bah humbug. Bah humbug. Actually, I have the largest Grinch and Scrooge collection of ornaments known to man, just because my family has been giving them to me for years. But I still carve a lot of Santa Clauses. See me afterwards if you want to see more of it. And then when we do our clay, sawdust clay, after this event, or after the show and share, we can kind of make some of the flat ones be part of the clay stuff. We can try to do the clay, make these out of clay as well. So that way you have something to look at as a reference point as to what's going on. But anyway, bah humbug.
I encourage y'all to make it a point to look at those things close up. They're so nicely done, and they have so much character. They're just lovely. Next up, we've got Earl, who has a leather notebook to share.
How's it going? So, how do I turn this on? Is it already on? Oh my gosh. Okay. So yes, I made a leather notebook. Now, I've never really done anything leather working before, but I've always thought it was interesting. And I thought, how hard could it be to make a leather notebook? And boy, howdy, it was a task. So I started with the paper, because I thought that was going to be easy. It was not. You might notice on the side here, how do I zoom out here? Oh my gosh, that's zooming in. Anyway, you might notice on the edge here, I thought it would be a good idea to drive a nail through and thread it with like actual thread. That was a terrible decision. If you do this, I encourage you not to go that direction. Instead, I decided to go with actual leather cord, which was neat. I should actually say that I found like a leather instruction guide over there. I just found it digging around, but they didn't actually go in depth into how to make the notebook. I had to figure that out on my own. So that's also where it took, why it took so long. So the other thing is, this is a present for somebody that goes to a lot of Ren fairs. So it's got a little handle that they could attach to their belt. So, and it clips up, and I did the stitching there. So that's it. You can draw in it, I guess, if you wanted to, or write. I don't know. And that's it. That's my notebook. So if you want one, you got to make it yourself.
Very nifty. Thank you, Earl. I'm always kind of on the lookout for new mottos for Knox Makers, and I feel like, how hard could that be? Could very easily be our motto. Next up, we've got Keith, who has brought a woodpecker construct.
All right, front raised strength. Here we go. This is we're kind of trying to work on some different concepts with the same build materials and techniques I've used on previous things I've done. And I made a bird once before, and this was my second kind of go at it, kind of inspired by Bubo from Clash of the Titans, if you've seen the original one, the kind of mechanized owl that's always cruising around. And I feel like kind of birds is a good way to go. I wanted to stick in like using recycled components to still stay in like a nature theme. I do a lot of like flowers and vases also. So the bird is kind of a mixture of bicycle parts. The head is some needle nose pliers, and then I used for the feathering jewelry, like I kind of deconstructed some bracelets and necklace and kind of used them as shingles kind of to kind of get that feathering approach. And had a neighbor down a tree, so I was able to kind of grab some of these kind of maple pieces with some bark still attached to them. I was able to dry them out properly. Kind of wanted to make it look like he was kind of doing the turning himself. And the other bits and pieces, I'm not entirely certain where I got them from. I know this one came from Russell at some point, if he's out there anywhere, so I'm guessing maybe something to do with some his electrical background. The backing board was really cool too. A friend of mine was taking down a historic building, I think somewhere downtown. So it's like a 100-year-old piece of pine he gave me to put this on, so that worked out excellent for that as well. Well, yeah, that is it. Well, thank you so much.
Man, I dig that crazy chain frame. If y'all could all do shares based on Clash of the Titans next week, that would be very cool. Next up, we've got Chris, who is going to talk to us about dumpster treasures, I believe.
So I haven't actually made anything. I'm here to, that'll do the trick, that's good enough. I'm here to actually talk about a project and maybe solicit some of you to make something for this. So every May at the UT campus and college campuses around the country, when students move out, there's an extraordinary amount of stuff piled into the dumpsters. Working electronics, clothing that's barely used, you name it.
Did you say dumpster Christmas?
It could be. Unfortunately, it's in May, but this is dumpster Christmas. We have a whole storage unit with recovered items from the dumpsters. And so what this is it's basically a trash into art event, which will be on March 21st at the Sustainable Future Center in South Knoxville. And we have grant money to pay artists to put together a proposal. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to a proposal form along with like a listing of everything we have. Proposals can be anywhere from $200 to $800. I will leave these maybe at the front chair, and I'll be around for, if anyone has questions afterward. That's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like a cool project and a great opportunity for Knox Makers to show and prove. So you guys do that thing. Next up, we've got Annie, who is going to show off a sign.
Hey guys, so 'tis the season for DIY Christmas presents. So my sister is really into her hot cocoa bar this year, so I decided to make her a little sign, sort of like Susan's famous hot cocoa. So yeah, I did it on Illustrator, pulled it into Inkscape, and then did it on the laser printer, and just cut it out in different portions, and then painted it. So, but yep, so hot cocoa.
That is quite charming. Next up, we've got Ashley and Cade, who will be talking about stained glass ornaments.
All right, so a couple weeks ago, we took a stained glass class here, and in, I guess, true maker fashion, decided to jump off the deep end and make everybody in our family a stained glass ornament. So this is an update on where we are. She 30 seconds ago came to me with the very last one to show me. So I'm gonna make this bigger. This is, I don't know what I'm doing, but it is 16 different ornaments. We ended up making 13 of them so far, and then mine, hers, Dad's, and one other, so I guess that's 17 ornaments. One other person, we're just gonna wait until after Christmas because we don't have to have ours right now. But essentially, we took patterns I found on Pinterest, printed them off. You number off the different pieces of glass, and then you lay it on your actual glass and cut it out, and you'll eventually get what your little design is. So that is Eli, a cowboy hat, because this year he went to work at a ranch in Texas. We have, for Nana, who loves Canada, that's where she is, she's in Vancouver, a maple leaf. We have for the sister that is obsessed with sunflowers, a sunflower heart. The family member that is a fisherman guide in Canada, he has a fish. For the sister-in-law that just got a B positive tattoo on herself, like a little B positive, a little B thing. For the brother who played football this year, a football. We still need to write with paint on it for the little, I guess, ribbons that are on them, stitches that are on it. Yeah, we're gonna figure that out later. And then for the dog that is obsessed with tennis balls, we did a tennis ball for her. But this was a big labor of love. Bit off more than we could chew. We still have, who? Wade. Dang it, okay. We have more to do, but this is how far we've gotten so far, and it's been a lot of fun, and I encourage everybody to come out to stained glass class with Hope and Arturo. They do fantastic at teaching you all how to do it. Oh, any questions? Yes?
On average, how long does it take to make one?
In our, for one, do you think?
For Stella's, it took maybe.
Yeah, so this, maybe an hour total.
Yeah.
For this, this one would probably be 3 hours. Because cutting all of these little intricate pieces, you can see how that sticks out. You want to be able to tweak them as you go and just be really flexible with it. It's a little harder whenever you get smaller and more intricate pieces. 3 pieces, easy. Go for those. Do those. Do those, please. Thank you, guys.
This came out so nice. I enjoyed watching y'all work on those. Really lovely. Next up, we've got Steve, who has a doll bunk bed to show.
At Thanksgiving, got to meet this one. Okay. This little 3-year-old, who is the daughter of the godson of an old friend of mine, who asked me to make for her for Christmas a doll bed. I can make that go away. There we go. And this is all found materials. This is a piece of 2x4 that I found in the scrap in the shop and cut 1-inch square posts, which I took over to the mortising machine. I can get a little bit bigger if I do. That. Okay. And there were a lot of mortise and tenons in this. Come on. What is wrong with this thing? Okay. And I had never used a mortising machine before, so it was fun. This was laying out so they were all equally spaced on the 4 posts. And then the post, the bed comes apart into a pair of single twin beds. And you do that by having a dowel in the top of the bottom post and a hole in the bottom of the top post, so they can fit together and stay together, but you can still take them apart. And I modeled this on the bed I'm sleeping on right now that my folks bought as bunk beds when I was about 8, I think. Anyhow, this is the final product without paint. And if you notice right here, there's a little peg and there's holes. This is being shipped to West Virginia as we speak, so I don't have it here in actuality. It's no longer in my possession. But in order to ship it, they didn't want to have a box that was, so big by so big. So all of this breaks down, and this little girl's father is going to have the fun part of putting it back together. And since it was a rush project with found materials, each one of those mortise and tenon joints is hand fitted, and there's only one way this goes together. So on the bottom of the post, on the bottom of one of the posts of each of these 4 pieces, there is a caption that says top A, top B, bottom A, bottom B. The 2 A's go together, the 2 B's go together, and then there's a bottom and a top with a piece of tape on the bottom that says A this way and B this way. when you get it together, then you've got to make sure that they're fully seated. And I've got I sent a little pill bottle full of dowels that all have one end that's blue, and so that when he puts it together, it'll be very stable. And there'll be little blue dots on the yellow. This was the machine for cutting the jig for cutting the dowels. There. This was the paint setup because it's just been colder, way too cold to paint outside this last week. And that's what it wound up looking like. And I didn't have charge of the mattresses. There'll be mattresses that go in it made out of probably 2-inch foam. Anyhow, it was a fun project. It was very much rushed. If I were going to be serious about it, I would take a lot more care with making sure that those posts line up. You can't really tell from here, but there's only really one of them that the top and bottom posts line up perfectly. The rest of them are all just a little bit offset because I didn't get the dowel holes exactly in the center. But she's a 3-year-old. She'll have fun. Anyhow, that's it.
Well, there's nothing quite like a gift that challenges a father not to disappoint his 3-year-old daughter on Christmas Day, is there? That was quite charming. Actually, all of our shares have been quite charming tonight, haven't they? But that's all over now, because Billy will now talk about CNC things.
Okay, so it's been a while since I've done a show and share. I've been quite consumed working with NibblerBot and prepping classes and getting it ready for you guys to use. In the course of doing that, I've needed to learn how to work with wood because I normally work with the metal stuff over there. So doing CNC with wood's a little bit different than CNC with metal. So in the classes, I start off with a simple little bowl and tray set up like this. And I do one of those for class. And then I upped my game a little bit and did a Knox Makers engraving. And then played around with rounding the edges on it. And then finally, I learned to do some V-bit engraving and masking and painting that so that it's done like that. That is not laser cut. That is done on Nibbler and spray painted with a masking. I did that a couple months ago, and then I decided I was going to work on some Christmas gifts for some folks. So first things first is I had to design the gifts. So in FreeCAD, I worked up this. This is a little tray. You may have seen one of these out on the table out there in the hospitality area that we keep ketchup and stuff in. That one was done with plywood, and I've got another one in here that's finished that I'll show you here in a second. The second item I was going to do was a clock for my father-in-law. These are all Christmas presents. So let's start with the bowl and tray, or the little tray thing. Pull that out. Okay, so I'll show that right there. Yeah. In there. So that is done using that butcher block material that we have back there in stock. It's 12-inch diameter, and then it's sanded and hand finished with this stain that Brian Greenhoe helped me do. Actually, it's an oil that hardens. So that's that. Then I decided I was going to do some other stuff because I've got a couple other family members. So the first thing I did was come up with this little guy, little leaf. Problem is that was not as big as I was expecting it to be. So I redid that one. To a slightly bigger one. And not to outdo myself, but I had more material than I needed, so I did 2 of them. So one for each mother-in-law. I've got 2. All right. Okay. And then there's the clock. So once again, I want to show this. This is the prototype or the CAD drawing for the clock. And before I actually did the clock, I wanted to make sure that the hands were good, so I begrudgingly used John Dell's favorite machine and did a laser cut clock face with the numbers on it. I didn't even bother centering up the material. I didn't have enough, so some of the little gear nubs are short. I didn't care. I was mostly checking it to see how the hands would look on there. Next thing I did is I wanted to see what colors would look good for the numbers. So I went through and painstakingly V-bit engraved these numbers out and tried different colors in there. Ultimately, I decided on black. It stood out the best. The red was nice, but I went with black. So let's show you all the final product after I get unburied over here. Okay. Okay. And then on the back is the movement and the thing to hang it with. Put it down here and zoom back out. There we go. So red hands, black numbers. I learned quite a bit on this. I'm going to show a couple mistakes. God forbid. And I'll zoom in on that 8. See how that 8 looks there? It's kind of janky, it's raggedy and stuff. In the CAD CAM settings, there's a little option that adjusts how it breaks those little round bits up into line segments. And I had that number too high. And when it's too high, you get kind of janky movements like that. It's not quite as crisp as it could be. Adjusting that number subsequently fixed that, but it was already too late. I'd already cut this out before I knew that setting existed. But from a foot away, you can't tell. And if I hadn't shown you all, you wouldn't have never known it. So that's it. I hope my father-in-law and my in-laws appreciate it. Yes, Amy?
Can you show us the back, like the movement of the name?
Yeah. It's just a standard quartz movement that you get off of Amazon. Just pocket it out and set it in there.
Can I interject something real quick with that? We have a bunch of those in metalworking back there for box stuff. If you're interested in doing it, we've got them here too.
I bought about 10 of them because I wanted a large selection of hands, so I've got a bunch too, with different thicknesses of the stem. That's important. You got to get the right thickness on the stem. Yes, Wes?
For replacing the numbers, and they're older, did you do that? Where did you do that? In FreeCAD?
Yes, it was all done in FreeCAD. Oh, I did forget. I actually have a video. Let me show that.
Was it an extension or an app that you used for that?
Nope, it was all FreeCAD. There we go. You can see there it's nibbling out the letters. The blue stuff that you all see is something called ore mask. So I prep the material and put the ore mask on there, and then it carves out around that. Now it's doing the perimeter cut. And you can see the sawdust is kind of embedded in there pretty good. That was a concern. And the whole process took a bit of refinement and whatnot. But I learned a lot. Yes, Sue?
Did you paint it before you filled off the blue mask?
Yes, that's the whole point of the ore mask, is you put the ore mask down, you clear coat it with a clear spray paint. I also taped off the edges, let the clear coat set up, and then I spray painted it with the black spray paint about 2 or 3 times. And then you peel off all the masking. Yes?
After you had designed it with CAD, how long did it take the machine to cut it all out?
About an hour total with me doing some futz-ups. At one point in time, the tape released and I had to reposition it, and that took a good 20 minutes to figure out how to get it back in the right position. I am doing some limited classes right now. Most of them are strictly authorization classes, no CAD CAM. I'm working on that. I'll probably have those available after the first of the year. FreeCAD 1.1 is getting ready to come out, and it's kind of silly to start teaching everybody on 1.0 when 1.1's literally maybe a month away. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Nice work, Billy. And I really like how your dust shoe kind of makes it look like a Muppet is making the clock for you. That was charming, so nicely done. Oh, for me? Thank you. Just a couple of announcements to share with y'all this evening. I wanted to let you know about a few things we've got coming up in the next few days. Thursday, December the 18th at 7 p.m., that is our next new member onboarding session. So if you are currently on the path to membership, or if you're considering the possibility of thinking about allowing the thought to cross your mind to join this organization, you should maybe come to the new member onboarding. That'll be at 7 p.m. and it will be scintillating. On Saturday, December the 20th at 1 p.m. is Stitch and Bitch. So if you have things that need to be stitched or bitched about, you should be here on Saturday at 1. Sunday, December the 21st, speaking about bitching, we're going to have a board meeting. Our board meetings happen virtually, so we'll be posting a link to that in the All Members channel. Everybody is welcome to come and learn how to sleep again. And then next Tuesday, which is December the 23rd, after Show and Share, we're going to have a special event, which is the Inkscape FAQ. Our very own Tracy is going to answer all of your most frustrating and bizarre questions about Inkscape. If you've never used Inkscape, that is, of course, a free and open source vector drawing tool that we use to drive our lasers, our vinyl cutter, and we'll use to drive more tools in the future. It is well worth learning, and Tracy knows what she's talking about, as far as I can tell. I did want to mention once more, this past Tuesday we did Toy Tech. Many of you were there. It was a super good time. We were able to adapt on the order of 70 toys, and we've done this in partnership with Spark for the last 8 years. I think that it's something that we're really proud of and something we really enjoy doing together. I sure had a good time, and I hope y'all did too. I know they gave those toys away to the kids, a bunch of them already, and it's a way that we have actually made people's lives better through our tomfoolery. So thanks to everybody who did that. It was super swell. This evening, we have one of our wonderful post-Tuesday night crafts going on. Bill is going to be leading us in doing sawdust clay ornaments and has got all this stuff set up in the classroom for a lovely free instructional activity, which should be a super good time. So if you would like to make things out of sawdust that are wonderful, you should go into the arts and crafts area and Bill will school you about that. If you know how to make wonderful things, and I know you do, you should talk to Russell, who is our volunteer coordinator. He is the one who figures out who's doing what on each Tuesday and makes sure that we're always entertained. And isn't that what we're all here for, more or less? Let me finally say, it was great eating all the foods. Super enjoy this tradition of y'all making me dinner at least once a month. I feel like we could do it maybe a little more frequently, but at any rate, I did want to remind you to fill your pockets on the way out. Don't let this food go to waste. Make sure that it leaves the place. If no one's going to eat it, then we will sadly throw it away, but let's not feed the ROUSs. And please do stick around for a little bit if you can. Help get all that stuff cleaned up. We definitely don't want that stuff to stick around. And finally, to folks who are here for the first time tonight, super glad to have you here. Please be sure that you find somebody with a badge, or anybody at all really, get a tour, get your questions answered, and maybe consider becoming part of this thing, because it's a super good time. Thanks everybody. Let's go do weird stuff together.